How's it? Today is Saturday, January 20th. I front squatted today. I also deadlifted and did some amount of benching. Yesterday I did not have enough time to front squat, and so I cut my workout short yesterday to make it to work on time by omitting the front squat. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna make time and plan to do it tomorrow. And it turned out pretty good. I am pretty happy with how it went. I think like in my head 132 is pretty heavy, and I don't know what to expect when I was doing it or when I was working up to it. But as I got to the top weight, it was easier than I had expected. Um and I don't know, I'm just a little bit surprised. I think that it's probably because I have, no other movements like done today before the squats themselves, because usually I snatch and clean and jerk before I front squat, right? So that is going to affect it quite a bit. But today I did 132 for 3 sets of 3. First rep on most of the sets, I think first rep on all of the sets was pretty good. The third rep on all the sets was not very good, but it is what it is. I'm pretty happy that I was able to make them all, and I was able to come in today and essentially redo the things that I was supposed to do yesterday. So here's 120. This is my last warm up set. My left hip flexor was a little bit tight, and it doesn't really go away for the rest of the front squats, but it's just 132. Like that. Look at that first rep, right? It's moving pretty well. Second rep is, it feels like it's getting a little bit more out of place, and then third rep is definitely struggling. I think one thing that I don't really focus on is that sort of upper back stability that you really need to front squat heavy, right? And you'll see where it lacks, kind of right here. If you look at the side angle, you see how I end up pushing my hips a little bit back, and then my upper back rounds, and that's not something I really focus on. But I also think that if I did focus on that, that's probably gonna fix a lot of my weightlifting issues, because I used to have a ton of upper back problems. I mean, I still do. It's just not to the extent that they were in the past. And yeah, maybe it's something I should look into. But after that, I'm moving to my deadlifts. Sumo deadlift up to 3 sets of 5 at 160. And so that's 5 kilos up from last week. Pretty good. I don't imagine that it's going to be slowing down anytime soon, at least for the next week. I think I probably could make it to 170, maybe even 175 for 3 sets of 5 in the coming weeks. You'll see that today's 160 was, I don't know, it wasn't like ridiculously easy, but you also have to keep in mind that I don't normally front squat before I sumo deadlift. Usually it's the first thing I do. So similar to how my front squat was a little bit easier than I expected, the deadlift was also like still easy, but I expected it to be harder because I was front squatting first, if that makes sense. But yeah, I mean, I'm happy with how it went. This is my last warm up there at 120. I wasn't sure if I should take large jumps like I normally do. Last week I looked at my videos, and it went 20, 70, 120, 155. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to do the same jump, but instead of jumping to 155, we're going to go to 160. And I mean, for the most part, it was the right call. Like, look at how easy that was. It was my first set, of course. Last rep, the bar seems to be like coming out of my hands, even though I'm using straps, which doesn't really happen. And like, that's not something I was expecting to have to deal with today. But I don't know, it ended pretty well. Second set here, my upper back gets out of position kind of almost immediately, but it turns out to be okay, because my lower back feels like, or it looks like it's like in a more proper position to be pulling from, and it, like I said, it's not as hard as I expected it to be. And here's my third set. So like when I'm looking at these, especially like now, like way after the actual session, it looks like I could have done 170 today for 3 sets of 5. I'm not gonna do that next week. At the very most, I'm gonna do 165 next week. So hopefully, with a couple weeks of time, I can get to 170, 175, maybe 180. I don't know. For 3 sets of 5, like it feels like it's moving well, and that is a positive thing. That one of the that's one of the highlights that my coach was saying yesterday when I talked to him, or I guess 2 days ago, was that even though it feels like a lot of my weightlifting movements are stagnating or maybe even regressing, um, like my strength itself is still for the most part there. Um, but yeah, so it's just another perspective I should really look at adopting. Did some dumbbell bench press today because I didn't have a lot of time, and also my shoulder was kind of hurting. So I think that the dumbbell bench press is actually a lot better for my shoulder than the flat or the barbell bench press. So I might continue doing that for a couple weeks. We'll see. Did some Bulgarian split squats, and then I did these bad boys, which I haven't done in a very long time. The dumbbell overhead walk. I think this is if I had to select one single exercise as an accessory for any weightlifter, I think this is the one that's the most helpful for me. It really got me to where I am as far as my overhead stability goes, and it used to be pretty good. So yeah, that's it for today. Thank you for watching. Shoots.